Something that my fans wouldn't know about me is the fact that like I literally produce, write, engineer a lot of my stuff too, like in the studio. So I feel like that kind of goes over people's heads sometimes. You know what I mean? It's like I did the whole entire thing from scratch, and I feel like people don't really care. You know, the average consumer or the average fan doesn't really even understand what goes into that. Shout out to the homie Russ. I know Russ is one of the few people that, you know, he from conception, just engineering, producing, writing, does it all. But you know, it comes to a point where it's like I forget about that, or you know, sometimes people find out and they're like, "Yo, you did all this shit," and I'm like, "Yeah, man." Like I always felt like people know all that. You know, when they hear a record, they're like, "Oh, he did this whole beat and everything." But a lot of times people don't. You know, a lot of times people are just super fans, and then they're like, they find out later on, like, "Damn." So you know, if I was to tell them, that's the one thing I tell them all the time, like, "Hey, I did everything on here, man." You know what I mean? And of course, I work with other producers and stuff, but my favorite records are the ones I do, you know, from conception all by myself and shit. So some game that I got from the homie Tech N9ne, working with Strange Music, is basically not every single release is gonna be that moment, right? There is no moment. Like people always talk about getting there, right? Like when I get there, you need to live life as if you are there. So like every day you wake up, you already here. What are you doing? So instead of waking up and saying I gotta work to get to where I'm going, it's like if you got the mentality that you are already there, it's like what did you do today while you're there? Because this is the moment right now. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are living a mind state of like in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, I'm gonna get to where I want to go. But it's like you're not gonna get there if you ain't there mentally. So I think that's what he taught me. And you know, you look at his career, 20 plus years just consistently dropping. I mean, he's probably the most consistent rapper in the game. You know what I'm saying? And you know, maybe never had that giant hit. It's like all of his songs is hits. You know what I'm saying? The whole album goes down. I think he got more top 10 albums than any artist. And I think that's even outside of rappers. So, you know, the consistency of that really changed my life because I'm like, man, everybody's waiting on that moment. Like, I'm going to get this big hit record. You know, I'm going to get this one song and everything's going to change. It's like, yo, it might take you 20 albums and you're going to get the same amount of notoriety from that than some people get in that one record. You know what I mean? So, and that's what changed my whole approach to the way I do things now. You know what I mean? It's just his guidance on that. And some of the mantras that I've learned in Strange Music changed the whole scape of what I'm doing, right? So just understanding certain things, like as I just said, like you're already there. What are you doing with it, right? There's no return of investment on fear, right? That's one of the things that they preach over here. So the idea of having any sort of fear in the world is just a waste of time, right? You're not gaining anything back ever. So understanding that anytime you have that little bit of fear, oh, this shit might go wrong or something, you know, something might go south here. It's like, why? Why even take that time? You're never gonna, there's nothing positive that will be returned from that. So that's something too. It's like, you know, just kind of learning how to mentally block out fear. It's like as soon as I get like, oh man, this might go wrong or have that thought, like, nah, no need for that. You know, you're just wasting time. So, you know, sometimes people can say things and it's simple and you might not listen, but when it comes from someone who you admire or someone who has, you know, achieved the accolade you're trying to achieve, it's a way different thing. You're like, oh wow, okay. So it's like my aunt could have said that shit to me and I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But when Tech N9ne or Travis or Gwen say it, you like, yeah, you're right. You know, so sometimes it just takes that validation from people who have done what you're trying to do. It's like, I don't really take advice from someone who hasn't done what I'm trying to do, right? So if you tell me how to do this shit and you haven't done it, I'm like, okay, cool. But if you've done everything I'm trying to do, I'm a listen up. I'm gonna perk my ears up more. You know what I'm saying? So that shit changed my life. I think no matter what happens in the future, like just having that belief instilled in me and a lot of the beliefs that they taught me moving forward, like I feel like a beast out here. You know what I mean? I feel untouchable. Real shit. I mean, what keeps me going is just understanding like this is what I want to do. So it's like any outside noise or the environment I'm in really doesn't play a role in that. It's like just holding that mentality, you know what I'm saying, and pushing through every day. It's like doing a 9 to 5 job, feeling like shit, or you know, going to school, whatever it is, and then still finding that time at the end of the day to hit the studio and be creative, right? So it's like might be the worst. Your electric about to turn off. The whole world's against you, and it's like, yo, let me still fight through this because I can't really see myself doing anything else. You know what I mean? This is like I just know in my soul since I was a kid. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. So if it wasn't performing music and being an artist, I started producing, engineering, and then I would go to the studios, like shout out Jerry Wonder and Platinum, and I would just go up there and say, man, can I sweep the floor? You know what I'm saying? I bought a video camera. Can I film sessions? Can I engineer? Can I produce? Anything that I could do to be around that shit? I just knew like I'm gonna do music for a living, right? So no matter what capacity that was in, I could never think of anything else. And I think that's what kept me going. It was just like anything I could think of that's not music, I was like, man, that's not a life I want to live. But I went and got jobs. I worked every job, man. I was a garbage man for a little bit. I was a porter at a hospital. I used to clean shit up. I tried stocks. I'm from New York, so that whole Wolf of Wall Street movement, at the time, like I watched that movie. I was like, man, I'm gonna get a job here. I went and did that for a little bit. Put a suit on for 8 months. I was in there doing that, and I was just like giving myself all options to be like, all right, let me see if there's something else I could do with the rest of my life, but it was never there. That shit never clicked. It was like, man, if I don't do music, I'm gonna be a miserable person. Like I need to do this. So I think a lot of people, they forfeit that belief at some point. Like it's like, all right, I'm gonna settle. I'm gonna do this. I got this opportunity. So it took turning a lot of opportunities down. You know what I'm saying? People asked me to be a creative director of clothing lines and shit, and I always had knacks for different things. But I was like, man, first I'm gonna make this hit record. You know what I'm saying? And working with Strange, man, my last shit went top 10 on iTunes. You know what I'm saying? We sold thousands of copies before it even dropped on the pre-orders, and like that's it. It's kind of like validation finally of like I wasn't crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's what kept me going. Like just knowing deep down I'm not crazy. Like I'm accurate, but you just got to put in the work. You know what I'm saying? It's like nobody cares, work harder type shit. A big fuck it moment for me was just coming home. Like I just referenced earlier, like my electric was off. You know what I'm saying? One of my homies had just passed away. And I had this deal, right? I had this situation where I produced this record supposed to be in this giant movie. I met with Universal at the time, Paramount, and they told me the check is as good as cleared, and it was a big check, right? It's like 30, 40 bands. And I had relied like the last 4 months on it. I was like, yo, when this goes through, everything's gonna be okay. And that was on Halloween, I remember. I think it was like 2015. And I was just getting into it. And I get the call the night before, after the meeting and everything. They showed me, the movie trailer and the clips that this is gonna be the song of the movie. And I watched it. I got excited. I told my whole family. I told all my people. And then the night before, they were like, we went a different direction. And I said, so what does that mean? They're like, you ain't getting paid nothing. So that moment right there was that point of like, I was just like, man, I might not be able to do this anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't even uphold this shit. So coming home, it's like all the bills I thought was gonna be paid. I was like, man, once I get this check, that's it. Like I get my money right, I'm gonna be on the straight now. And just coming home and being like, wow, this is the day I'm supposed to get this check. I had everybody waiting. All the payments I had to make was for that day. And it was like, boom, it just all hit me at once. And then my homie passed away, and I was sipping a bottle of Jack Daniels, man. I was like, depressed as fuck, man. Just took the whole day just feeling like, man, I had that suicide moment, you know what I'm saying? Thinking like, man, this is it. I'm gonna end it. And I think what really, it's always something small, right? It's always like, it might even be a comment from a fan on Instagram or something like that just keeps you moving. So I was so low, and then I got this DM, and they were like, yo, this another kid had passed away that was a fan of mine. So his whole family reached out and was like, yo, you were the only thing keeping him going, and da-da-da. So it's like, man, I'm over here feeling suicidal, right? This dude just died, and his whole family is like, yo, thank you for, keeping him going, you know what I'm saying, for as long as he did. And it was like, man, so instead of killing myself and ending my shit, I'm supposed to be out there saving motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? And to feel that feeling when you got nothing, and like no success, no money, you know what I'm saying, the world's crumbling around you, but to still feel like, yo, I got a purpose here, man. I'm supposed to continue. So that was it. That was probably, 2015 was my real fucking moment. Then we started up FBA. That was where the idea came from. Like my girl was like, yo, we got to do this shit ourselves. So, cause it's like that Jay-Z mentality, you know what I'm saying? Like nobody's fucking with me. I always got real close to certain things, real close to deals, or, real close to having songs in this thing or placed. And, it just never happened. So, Tara was like, yo, we need to do this shit ourselves. So that was the moment. And then we just went straight up. I got one other deal. We put every dollar we had into putting out the CDs and getting back in the studio. And that was it. It was like, yo, we're not going to eat. We're going to make this project. So I think that was the real defining moment, And then by 2016, we had venues selling out and we were moving. So a lot changed in that 12 months, man. So my next album, this is actually exclusive. First time I dropped the name, but it's called Drink More Water. Um, it's gonna be insane, man. We got some huge, yeah, drink more water. It's kind of just a journey to, I grew up, I was like really unhealthy, man. You know what I'm saying? Just the way I used to eat, the way I used to move, and like just my journey into to health, and awareness of what I'm putting in my body. And I feel like a lot of the things like depression or different health conditions is like, yo, what are you eating? And it took me a long time to realize that. So water is the key, bro. Water is the key to life. You know what I'm saying? Water is everything, bro. It's a solid. It's a liquid. It can move anywhere. It could save a life, or it could actually come through on a tsunami and destroy your whole entire village, right? Water is literally one of the most important things, and I just feel like I've been running around preaching, drink more water, man, drink more water. So naturally, just the whole vibe of the album, I was like, this is what it's gonna be. So it's insane, man. I got some insane features. I cannot release too many details on the album. I got some insane collaborations on there, and then I was just booking yesterday. I just got off the phone with a very substantial artist and possibly going out in the fall with him. So it's gonna be insane, man. The next album is definitely something to wait for, dude. It's big. Yo, what up? It's Jehry Robinson from Strange Music. You checking out 247hh.com.